Hi, I'm Chris Williams, and I'm a program consultant in the Office of Assessment Accountability. And today I'm going to bring to you the 2025-2026 Back to School Training, Module 5, WIDA Access, WIDA Alternate Access. There are 5 module trainings within the WIDA Access and Alternate Access trainings for this year. Decided to break them down into smaller modules. We already did module number 1, WIDA Screener for Kindergarten and WIDA Screener Online. Also, module 2 is Identified EL Students. Module 3, WIDA Secure Portal. Module 4, WIDA AMS. And our last module, which this is what we're going to cover today, is WIDA Access and Alternate Access. Here's our agenda. We're going to, like I said, we're going to cover both the assessments and then also the websites. Within this, we're going to talk about both assessments, the testing vendor, also our testing schedule, websites, webinars, and exit criteria. Data Recognition Corporation serves as the subcontractor for WIDA Access, both online and paper, including WIDA Access for Kindergarten and WIDA Alternate Access. Of course, our main vendor is WIDA, and we belong to a consortium of states that WIDA provides all of these assessments for. Here's the testing schedule. Of course, DRC prints, stores, houses the online system, and ships the test materials and reports to the districts. DRC also opens a data validation for districts to have one last look at demographic data before the reports are printed and sent to district. And of course, WIDA Access for Kindergarten, WIDA Alternate Access, and Accommodated Braille and Large Print are paper pencil assessments that WIDA provides to us. Now, with this, you can see that this is the tentative schedule, and you'll notice that our testing window will start January 5th and go to February 13th. And then you'll notice all the things that we'll have to be doing throughout the year with ordering, setting up registrations, when you get your materials, the additional materials, after testing, when materials are to be shipped to DRC. You will also have a pre-reporting data validation window, and then we'll also have when we're going to receive reports. And then there will be one last thing with the score correction window if something else is wrong with your reports for that last one. Now, you will see this again for fall trainings, but I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up of things that are going to be happening. Also, there will be more fall trainings for access, and also as it gets closer to each of these, we'll have communications out to you, and also PowerPoint and communications too around ordering and how to do that in WIDA AMS. Now, we do have the suite of assessments. Of course, WIDA Access assessments are our tool to measure our English language learners' proficiency in English. The WIDA suite of assessments include WIDA Access and online and paper-based assessments for students in grades 1 through 12. Then we also have the WIDA Access for Kindergarten, which is a paper-based assessment for kindergarten students. Then the last is our WIDA Alternate Access, a paper-based assessment for students in grades K through 12 who have significant cognitive disabilities. And we're going to talk about each of these a little bit, but like I said, we'll have additional trainings in the fall. Here are the webinars that are going to be happening in trainings. Of course, you always want to make sure that district and school staff, when you begin, that they have the WIDA Access trainings for WIDA Online, WIDA Access for Kinder, and WIDA Alternate Assessment. Those trainings will begin September 1 in the WIDA Secure Portal under Assessments, except for the WIDA Access for Kindergarten, and that training will be toward the end of September before that one opens. So it's a little bit different this year with that WIDA Access for Kindergarten, where they're updating a lot of the information on that particular training. Also, there will be, like I said, we'll have additional trainings in the fall. Those will be on our WIDA Access page, which is on the Kentucky Department of Education website. WIDA also will have additional trainings too that you can get to on the WIDA website and through the WIDA Secure Portal under webinars. And like I said, districts will receive their WIDA access reports online in WIDA AMS starting 4/27. Now here is our current WIDA access webpage on the KDE website. It talks about all of our information too that is in here for you on the access. It has a link to that particular page on our KDE website, and it'll have all of our information about our testing windows, our links to lots of things, and then it'll also have not only links to important things that you're going to need, but also your trainings as well. Our exit criteria for WIDA Access and WIDA Access for Kindergarten is a 4.5 on a tier BC is the exit criteria for WIDA Access. And then it's just a 4.5 on the WIDA Kindergarten because, of course, kindergarten doesn't have any tier levels. Module 5 also with this is we're going to talk about the WIDA alternate access, and that's with our significant cognitive disabilities. We're going to talk about the participation decision tree, the website, trainings, webinars, exit criteria, and also about the WIDA alternate access screener. Now, districts must give either the WIDA access or the WIDA alternate access to EL's students each year. State and federal laws require that all English learners participate in an English language proficiency assessment. The WIDA accessibility and accommodations framework provides supports for our English learners as well as targeted accommodations for students with individual education plans. IEPs or 504s. These supports will help all ELs to better access the test. Some ELs with significant cognitive disabilities will still be unable to take access for access even with for our ELs, even with supports and accommodations. These students may be eligible to participate in what we call our WIDA alternate access, but only if they meet the specific participation criteria below. WIDA's guidance for participation on alternate is found in manuals, and it's also on the WIDA website under WIDA alternate access, and also on our Kentucky specific participation criteria for alternate assessment. We have that particular one on our Kentucky state page as well on our WIDA website. As the WIDA alternate access participation criteria decision tree illustrates, there are several criteria that students must meet to be eligible to participate in the WIDA alternate access. The IEP team makes this determination. And so you'll know that with this, you will also have the IEP team will use the participation tree as well as our Kentucky alternate assessment guidance to assist you. And here is ways that you have to participate. Of course, they have to be classified as an EL. They must have a significant cognitive disability, must participate or is expected to participate in the Kentucky alternate assessment because, you know, with our WIDA alternate, we start with K. And it goes all the way to grade 12. So we do have those K through 2 students that you will have to, the IEP team will have to make a determination before grade 3. Must have a disability that precludes them taking the WIDA access with accommodations. Now here is our participation decision tree. Of course, you can see that the IEP team will use this particular one to see if the student is eligible with the WIDA alternate access, along with our participation guidelines for our Kentucky alternate assessment program. Now, with the operational, of course, you know, with this, it incorporated, the test always incorporates from the most significant cognitive disabilities during the 2024-2025 school year and beyond. It will incorporate the WIDA ELD standards framework, which is the 2020 edition. It covers kindergarten, which is part of that K-2 grade level cluster. It has test content and test item types. It also has that important one that we also want to make sure that everything is filled out correctly because the individual characteristics questionnaire, which prompts test administrators to answer questions about student information, will be reported on the individual student scores, because this also helps educators make, reclassification decisions about students taking WIDA alternate access. So you always want to make sure that you are filling that out in the front of the test booklet, and that you don't skip that particular part when you're administering the assessment. Also, to distinguish between access and alternate access. With the alternate access, there you will also have the CAN-DO, which is the WIDA alternate assessment dog that is on all of the testing materials. And then, of course, it also has its separate training course on the WIDA Secure Portal. Now, districts will receive reports for alternate access online starting 4/27. And then district will receive the printed reports on 5/7 to 5/8, depending on where you are in our state. Now, there are also additional trainings too. You also want to make sure that your test administrators have completed the WIDA access trainings for WIDA access online, WIDA alternate access, starting September 1 in the WIDA Secure Portal, and then the WIDA Access for Kindergarten training, which will be available on September 29th. So that's just a little bit different than what we've had in the past. So just keep that in mind, that September 29th kindergarten will start a little later than our access and our WIDA alternate access. Also, WIDA did a webinar on to kind of help the IEP teams for, whether the student would participate in access or alternate access. And you can find that on the WIDA website. So keep that in mind to kind of go over that and have your IEP teams kind of go over that particular training to also help you along with the participation guidelines for our alternate assessment program for our content assessment, and also the participation tree guidelines on the WIDA website. Exit criteria for our alternate assessment is P2 is the exit criteria for WIDA alternate access for now. But remember, we have a alternate standard setting that is coming up, and so that could change our exit criteria. So keep in tune for that. Now, people have been asking about WIDA alternate access screener. When will that be available, and when are we going to use that? Well, you're going to start using the WIDA alternate screener beginning July 1 of 2026, so it won't be this school year. So this school year, you will continue to use the WIDA screener and the WIDA screener for kindergarten for all potential ELs. And like I said, we will have be conducting a standard setting process on the alternate access criteria this fall. And so to stay tuned for more information to come out about the WIDA alternate access. Now, the WIDA website, we're going to talk about, the assess page, the teach page, also about the WIDA ELD standards on that teach page. We'll also talk about on the assess page, the WIDA assessments and screener information, and then we'll get to the grow page, which will be our professional learning webinars and conferences, and also WIDA's featured resources and our Kentucky's member page in this particular part. So let's start with the assess page. On the assess page of the WIDA website, districts can learn about the WIDA access, the WIDA alternate access. You can also see that you can also look at the WIDA screeners, the WIDA model, and some people probably like, what is the WIDA model? WIDA model is where you can see where students are at certain points of time. It's more like it's like a benchmark assessment, and now we do not pay for the WIDA model, so that way you would have to pay for that if you wanted that. But like it's very important with the WIDA model to use that if you've got students who have, they were here maybe in kindergarten, but then went back to the home country and then they came back maybe 3 or 4 years later, and you're wanting to know where that student is. Remember, you never give the screener again after they're already identified as English learner. But if they do come back, one way to be able to do that is the WIDA model. And there is the WIDA online, it's online, and also there's the WIDA model for kindergarten and the score calculator. But one thing I do want to point out that you also have all of the assessments as well. You also have the accessibility and accommodations manual. You have building a WIDA assessment. That means how you can be part of, some of our standard setting processes and being involved in the assessment and item writing and things like that with WIDA. So if you want to take part of that, that's also on this assess page, along with technology to help your technology coordinators, and then also assessment trainings. There are links and resources here to prepare your districts for giving the assessment. And then also you can also see the revised access, page, and you can see, where things are, when things are coming up. And so be able to get that in the future. The next one is our teach page. So it is, before we can even, we give the screener, but, before we can even give the annual assessment, there are things that you should be doing in the classrooms. And so some of that is on this teach page. You can understand multilingual learners with family engagement. There's family engagement activities for you. Also, how to create a welcoming classroom for our English learners. Understanding the can-do descriptors. Remember, that's not the only thing that you're to be doing, and that's not the only thing that should be the number one thing you're doing. Because we have what we call teaching with the standards, and that's our English language development standards, and that's what you should be using every day for your students. Also, there's things in there about reading with multilingual learners, language for language learning, teaching in that pre-K 3 grade level, and also we have teaching with the WIDA Espanol. So there's lots of, and there's also featured educator articles and things like that WIDA also features. So it's very important that you also take advantage of this, because this is where you start with, when you get those access scores in, back in, at the end of April, you should be looking at the standards, looking at those scores and then going to your standards for that particular grade level for next year, and be able to see what that student can and can do in those domains of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And that's going to be an important, another important page for you as well on the WIDA website. Another thing is on the WIDA website is the Grow page. And there are multiple professional development options, including the e-learning that we talk about a lot. And you have access to those e-learning as a test administrator. And if you're not a test administrator and you're not given the assessment, but you have English learners in your classroom, like your content teachers or your administrators, they can have the e-learning only, even though they're not going to be administering the assessment. And this is good professional development. You can also get credit for that in your district for doing these professional development, these e-learning courses. Also, WIDA also has, there's professional learning by topic. They have what we call our e-learning is our self-paced workshops that we provide to you as a district free. And we send that out. We've already sent that out in the Monday DAC email, and to let you know what is ending and what's going to be looking forward to what this coming year, starting September 1 of what ones will be for this coming year. Also, there are WIDA webinars too that will help you. Their annual conference, you can attend that. And this year it's going to be in Seattle, Washington. That'll be October the 27th through the 30th. And then you will also, that will be, the name of that conference is Igniting an Innovation for Multilingual Learners. So if you would like to partake in that, you want to let your district know, because that would be something that they could pay for, help pay for you to attend that. Also on there are WIDA Espanol webinars and workshops. And then there's also other WIDA at other conferences, and then a WIDA school improvement systems. And so there's a lot to help you grow as a district with your English learners as well. Now, we talked a lot about the professional development, but like I said, I went over a lot of this, when it's going to happen and where you're going to see it. You're also not only going to, you saw it in a Monday Deck email, but you also saw it on the WIDA PD on Kentucky's member page on the WIDA website. Now, there were also WIDA featured resources for multilingual learners with disabilities. So, and there's direct links to each one of those of how to work with families of multilingual learners with disabilities, and also strategies for working with multilingual learners with disabilities. There are also other featured resources for educators on the website, but take advantage of these particular links and go to those, especially with when you've got students, multilingual learners with disabilities. Also, here is our state-specific guidelines on the WIDA website. Kentucky has its own specific guidance related to information on this page. Be sure to check out our member page and select Kentucky at the top when you go to the WIDA website to see any specific guidelines and policies. And also, there's also not only will you see our contact information, but you'll see our assessment schedule. You will also be able to see our assessment materials and trainings. You'll see state-specific guidance for WIDA access, and also our checklist will be on there as well, and our identification and placement guidance for the screeners. That information is on there. And then also the professional development of the e-learning opportunities that you can have will all be on that page. So please take advantage of that. Make sure you go to our Kentucky page on the WIDA website. And then we have additional back to school trainings for you as well for test security, for K-Screen, and for our Kentucky alternate assessment program. Now, our office also has, here's our all of our staff for the Division of Assessment and Accountability Support. It also has our phone number to contact us and our general mailbox of dacinfo@education.ky.gov. I do, any questions that you have, you're more about the assessments, about accountability, etc., just feel free to give us a call. We'll be able to work with you, and we look forward to doing that this school year. This concludes this particular module. I want to thank you all so much for attending today and getting this information, and for all you do for our English learners. And I hope you have a wonderful and successful back to school this year. And let me know how I can help you. Have a great day.